right? Good Shabbos, good Vach, everyone. Basically, it means now you and me. Baruch Hashem. It's the first meeting since I came back from the hospital. Everything is fine. Everything is good. Hopefully, we can jumpstart our shiurim, and because we need to. So once they asked the Baal Shem to the Kodesh, why is that sometimes a person is really connected to Avodas Hashem, and a person knows in his nefesh, you feel close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Just okay. You know by yourself that you're close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And sometimes in the middle of the connection snaps off. And a person feels very, very far from Hashem. Like, why is that? What gives? So Baal Shem Tov could have said, I'll give you a mashal, a parable. When a father wants to teach his small son how to walk, so the father takes his son and puts his son before him on the floor. And he holds the hands of the baby so the baby doesn't fall to the ground. And the baby starts walking while holding his father's hands. And then when the baby starts walking on his own, it's on his own koyach, so his father backs off a little more, so the baby will keep on going. So the baby will get closer. And from that, this is how the baby becomes stronger and and learns how to walk, because if his father wouldn't back off, the baby would only walk, that initial short distance, that's it. But the minute that the father walks back every time, so the baby keeps on advancing. Because that's the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu is with his being. The person gets excited. His connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu wouldn't step back from him. The connection would not be, with total strength and consistency. But Hashem Baruch gets back, he walks back, he is distancing himself from you. So you get moving all the time to move closer and closer. But the minute the HaKadosh Baruch Hu steps away from you, a person needs to strengthen himself. The same way like a baby. He wants to get closer to his father. To Shem, the Maisa from the Baal Shem HaKadosh. It's an incredible thing that when you're into Avodas Hashem and you feel connected, you're taking steps, and as Baal Shem Tov said, it's like suddenly you don't see anything, you don't feel anything, you feel like you're like the worst you ever were. I don't know the worst it ever were, but oh, sorry. You don't see anything. You don't feel anything. You're trying to daven. It feels like you're talking to the wall. Like you're going like, what happened to me? I was so close. I felt such closeness. I felt such life. Really um, keeping me on. We spoke about it in Sichos Haran quite some time ago, that a person needs to perfect the hook shot with his davening, because in the process of Avodas Hashem, as Baal Shem Tov said, because Baruch Hu steps back. He steps back so you can grow. The difference in the mashal itself, between the mashal and the reality that Baal Shem was talking about, is that with the baby sees his father all the time. It's just that he doesn't understand why can I not get closer? Why can I not, but he sees his father. He doesn't break eye contact, as it were. But when it comes to Avodas Hashem, the one thing that we break, that seems to break, is eye contact. I seem to feel that I'm all alone. And not just if I'm all alone, whenever it is that I try to make some kind of an effort to get closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, like I don't feel who am I talking to. I don't find which words to say. When I finally get myself to sit down and talk to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, sometimes it feels like there are 10 or 15 people trying to get through the door at the same time. Like, what am I going to talk about? What? It's like I need so many things. I mean, so many things are off. It can be parnasa, it can be shidduchim, it can be this, it can be health, it can be whatever. And you don't know what to ask for first. And then you start, okay, I'll talk about that. And when you do that, when you talk about that, whichever it is that you decided you're going to talk about, as you start talking about it, you feel that, that's not what I should be talking about. Or maybe you're talking about it and you run out of steam after a few sentences. And then you have to work on yourself to have enough steam to start talking to Baruch Hu again. And after a few sentences, you run out of steam again. And it can seem like an exercise in futility. Like I'm not getting anywhere. The continuation of the muscle, according at least to some versions that I heard, that when a person is this muscle of Baal Shem Tov Why the Kodesh Baruch Hu distancing from us? Like seems to disconnect from us. We feel so connected, and then the Baal Shem Tov said, it's like a father teaching his son to walk, and whenever the baby starts walking, so the father goes back and back. So that's the thing that makes the baby, stronger. But the part that is missing from that mashal, at least according to that version that I heard, is that when the baby walks forwards and he falls down, part of the process of learning how to walk is falling down. And the baby falls down and he starts to cry. And his father is laughing happily. And the baby can get it, why are you laughing? Because I fell down. What's the deal with that? And the answer is, the father is not happy that you fell down. The father is happy that you went to the edge of your capability. And he went on. And he wants you to get up. And that part of falling down is the part of learning how to walk. That's what the father is happy about. It's not like the father is happy that you're in pain. That's not what it is. So with this, we're actually touching a certain issue that Rabbi Sor Simcha asked that we should talk about again. We touched upon it on Monday as we were learning Supremacius. And we said that in the beginning, the story is that the viceroy, after a long time, finds the princess in that castle on the Sichos. And he asks her, what can I do to get you out? So she said, just go to that place for a year, long for me. The last day, don't eat, don't sleep, or whatever. And he fails. All year does it, and he fails. Comes to her, she says, if only would have come on that day, you'll be able to take me out. Okay, but now, the way to take me out is go to find yourself a place, a whole year, long for me. The last day, just don't sleep. He said, don't drink alcohol so you don't fall asleep. And, the story, he drinks, he falls asleep. And they sleep for 70 years. 70 years means that he falls from all the 70 facets of the Torah. Now, then, the Shavuot of that's right. So once when he falls asleep and his servant tries to wake him up, and is unable to wake him up. And then the princess comes along with all the armies and everything, and she sees him, she goes down to him. She tries to wake him up, he doesn't wake up. She writes, she cries, and how what big Rahmanis it is for him and for her, and how many, trials and tribulations you have to go through. You have to take her out. And she writes the story of all the trials and tribulations on her kerchief with her tears, and she leaves it with him. Then he wakes up, and how the story goes on. And it seems like the whole story is a story of failure upon failure upon failure. It doesn't yield any kind of advancement. Not only this, it's now, before at least he knew what the Shekhinah was. He was able to get back to her to find out, maybe I can go this way, go that way. Now she's not there anymore. She tells him, you should look for me at a certain place that everybody and his uncle tell him that simply do not exist. And the one thing that is obscured in this entire tale of woes is the fact that when he asked the Shekhinah the first time, and he asks her, how can I take you out? She told him, go to a certain place and long for me. And then he doesn't make it. She goes to another place, for a year and long for me. And both times he doesn't make it. Not only doesn't make it, he falls asleep. He falls away from connecting to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And now the Shekhinah is moving to a different place. The one thing that becomes obscured here is that his question was, how can I take you out? He took her out. She's no longer in the castle of Sichos. She's in a different place that calls for a different kind of avodah. But nevertheless, that which he set out to do, which was to take her out, take the Shekhinah out from the realm of Sichos, he accomplished. In other words, we measure our successes in terms that are used for this world. So, did you make it or didn't you make it? Did you succeed? You didn't succeed. Did you get a raise? You didn't get a raise. It always, if you make it, if you made it, then it's good. And if not, then the whole thing is not worth it. This is what we say when we finish the Sichos in the Talmud. We say, we toil and they toil. We run and they run. This says they run to Be'er Shachos, they run to Gehenna. And we are running to Olam Haba. They toil lahevel v'arik. They toil for nothing. They don't get anything from it. And we, Baruch Hashem, what we toil for. So comes the question: what do you mean they toil lahevel v'arik? For nonsense and for naught? What do you mean? You see, they have planes and yachts and castles and whatever it is that they have. What do you mean that they work for nothing? The answer is everything that they have is really nothing. Because what can you have in this world? What can you possibly have in this world? Everything that a person gains in this world is temporary, is contingent, is tangential on all kinds of different things. And you don't take it with you anyhow. But the deeper point is that the only thing that they measure, that they appreciate, is success. Let's say that you give a job to somebody to do. He says, I want this job done really well. So, and I'm going to give you that amount of money for it. Does it make a difference to you if the guy worked on it for 100 hours or if he did it in 5 minutes? What do you care? In other words, he's going to get paid the same amount. You're paying for a result. That means that the labor is unpaid for. The result is being paid for, not the effort. So all the inyan of olam hazeh, the effort, is not compensated for. The only thing that is compensated is a result. In Yiddishkeit, it's exactly the opposite. You are getting compensated for the amount of effort that you put in. Kadosh Baruch Hu made you more talented or less talented. That doesn't make a difference. I mean, it makes a difference in the sense of if you're a tzaddik and you're neshama klolis, you're like a general neshama that has to give to other people, so obviously. But the point is that the results really don't matter. I mean, the only result you have is the work that you put in. And many times, even the effort that you put in is obscured by such lack of recognizing contact with Hashem. You feel like you're stumbling in the dark. And you don't know what to say. And you can't get yourself to get up and daven a little more kavana or talk to Kadosh Baruch Hu, learn, or whatever it is that you're struggling with. And that in itself, the fact that you don't stop getting up on your feet again or wanting to get up on your feet again, that in itself is being rewarded. That is avodas Hashem. In fact, when you see the process of the story that we learned, we see that as difficult as it was for him, he knew where the Shekhinah was. He knew very clearly what he's supposed to do. So no, he didn't make it. And with his failures, his trying and failing, he, the Master, took her out. She's not there anymore. That's it. She left. And his next test is that much more profound. Because the Shekhinah is going to a place wherever it is he's looking for it. I mean, the biggest people, biggest creature, malachim, whatever it is you want to call it, tell him it does not exist. It's fiction. It's only the very end that we learn that he's actually created that place where the Shekhinah will be by going through looking for her and being told, listen, man, somebody fooled you. This is nonsense. It doesn't exist. And he doesn't give up. Before he knew where she was, he was able to go there. He was able to talk to her, communicate with her. Once he took her out, she's in a place that, for all intents and purposes, doesn't even exist. As we find out, he's actually creating that place by going through whatever he needs to go through. They're right. The place doesn't exist yet. So this kind of stumbling through the dark, of wondering like, man, I can't see anything. You should know that whether you succeed or you fail, as long as you want to get close to Kodesh Baruch Hu, as long as you want, even if you don't even know what's getting to close to Kodesh Baruch Hu, besides getting to Kodesh Baruch Hu it's a great feeling because you feel like you know, I'm riding with the sheriff. It's like nobody can touch me. It's wonderful. An aliyah and avodas Hashem is like the most delightful feeling on earth because you realize that not only you're happy, but you're happy for something that is everlasting. It's a gewaldig thing. Even if all you want, if the only reason why I come to Kodesh Baruch Hu is because you're scared, what's going to happen? You're not going to do it. You're going to let yourself fall off because it's like riding a bicycle. Unless you actually continue getting advanced and going forward, you'll fall off. Because the temptations are there all the time. Some people get chayas from compliments of other people. Some people get the different kind of weird conditionings that we have that get in our way. When we say, listen, we want to be straight, tmimasdik, yosher, elech, that's it. And comes in, okay, here's, you come, there's a woman speaks to you, no, you don't mean anything, but okay, so you smile at her, joke, this, that. Sometimes you can get, a person can get washed in a taiva, in a dimion, in an illusion. A neighbor or somebody, and a person can develop this kind of fantasies in his mind that person is my zibur. That person is my zibur. She's b'chlal your neighbor. Maybe she's somebody's wife. Maybe she isn't. But it's a feeling that it's inexorable. I mean, what do you mean? We're meant to be together. Unless we somehow materializes that, it's like it's an eternal loss. We'll never ever be with who we really belong. It's a very, very convincing feeling. You feel like that's it. There's no two ways about it. There's no denying. I say something and she already realizes. I seem to know what she thinks before she said that. Whatever it is that, and it's fiction. It's a fiction. It's a type, but it's a dimion. And you feel, what the Gemara calls the oilim yitzri, oilim yitzri. Woe to me from my Yitzhara, and woe to me from the one who created me. Playing the rock and the hard place. It's a no-win situation. Because Baruch Hu doesn't want me to do anything about this. Yeah, but I feel like I will be losing my entire life unless I do something about this. What do I do then? The answer is wait. Just wait. What do you mean? Just wait. No, but wait for what? What are you talking about? Just wait. When you wait, either one of two things will happen to you. Either whatever it is that you're looking for, that you're 100% convinced is yours, will come to you. If it's yours, it'll come to you. But if it's not yours, it's just a demon, it's just a title. Just don't do anything about it. That's it. You feel the way you feel, you're anguished the way you're anguished, and you feel like, man, I'm losing the opportunity of my life. Wait. Don't do anything about it. And when the time is up, and you didn't do anything, that ruach shtus leaves you. And you're looking back maybe at this woman or this job or whatever it is, and it's like, what? I was just crazy about this, about her, about him. What? If things get bad, you just lift up your eyes and go, I can't, I'm driven crazy by my titles. And I said, all right, please do me a favor, just help me out. I'm begging you, please help me out. Okay, you do that, because I'll help you out. Don't worry about it. This is when you have a yeshiva das that that you're busy with nonsense. You're just teasing yourself for nothing. To call out. But many times if you feel like, no, that's meant for me, that person is meant for me. That's my zivug, that's my shidduch, that's my this, or that's my job, or this, whatever it is. Just wait. Just let it go. Just let it go. When the time comes, it'll pass. And you're like, whew. Man, is that good? I didn't do anything about this. Well, gewalt. Because the one thing that people, when they're in the throes of temptation, never are never able to internalize, is the fact that the temptation looks like tempting. Well, no, that's what it is. And it is promising you, like, man, anything you wish for, anything you want, anything you dream about, you'll get everything. You'll get, that's the outside of the table. If chas v'chalila you fall for it and you see the inside is as bitter, like biting into a bitter almond. All the magic is gone. And it's replaced with, whoa, man, what have I done? What have I done? Rabbeinu says that for a pleasure of 15 minutes, a person is capable of giving up Olam Hazeh and Olam Haba. Just 15 minutes of fun. In other words, it's not all theory. It's not all a game. Like if you win, fine. If not, you go back to go. Don't collect $200. No, you're talking about, some heavy duty consequences on the line. You're walking a tightrope that really does have an abyss on both sides. A long way to fall down. And sometimes a person falls down. The whole meaning is never give up. Never, because even when after a failure occurs, why it's going on, do you damnedest obviously not to fall for it. And use whatever strategy you hear from the tzaddik and from his talmidim, to make sure that you don't fall for it. But even if you did, remember, the viceroy fell from all 70 facets of the prayer. And his own body tried to wake him up. His servant, his own body tried to wake him up. I mean, that's it. The guy failed, with a capital F. He stunk up the joint. And with that, he took the Shekhinah out of the trap of the jail in the house of horrors of the Sitra. In other words, in no time should you ever look at where you are, even if you're done whatever, I don't know what, and start being a doctor on yourself, being a maven on yourself. That's it. I'm a goner. We have plenty of stories in there. The Gemara with Elisha Acher that he went so high. He made a gum. He made a. He saw the Malach Natat and he said, "There's another boss here. So there must be two of them." And he fell off completely. He went into heresy. And he heard that they say in the Shemayim, behind the parga, behind the curtain, that they say, Shuvu bonim shevavim, come back, delinquent children, except for Achim. So he figured what he learned from that was, that's it. I'm done. Might as well, stick a fork in me. That's it. And he fell off completely. And the Gemara says, what was he really told Mishamayim? Mishamayim, they called out, Shuva banim shevavim, come back, stray children, except for Achim. That means on Yom Kippur, that people get this kind of assistance to do tshuva. Acher is not going to get that assistance. He has to do it on his own. He interpreted it as, that's it. I don't know how many of you have heard the Marvelous Midas Machine and the tapes with the kids. I don't know. So we had that, and one of the characters there is Dr. Doomstein. And the thing that the dooms Dr. Doomstein is the fact that, I says that, I'll always be bad. I'll never be good. I always was bad. I always will be bad. What are you being a doctor in yourself? You always be bad. I'll always be bad. That's it. Now I'm bad. Everything is lost. What are you talking about? Even if you fell, no matter how deep you fell, you have to understand that both Hashem, you are close to that tzaddik of unimaginable strength. I understand. He will pull you out. He says, you come to Rosh Hashanah, you come to this Tikkun HaKloli by his flats, Tikkun HaKloli, not just Rosh Hashanah, you come Tikkun HaKloli by the Rebbe's Tzion, and you give it tzedakah. He says, even as long as you say, from now on, I want to be good. He says, no matter what you did, he will pull you out by the payas from Shel Tachtios and the Tachtov. Shel Tachtios means the lower level of purgatory, or Metachta, and below it, which is a place that nobody ever comes out. I can't even begin to think, to imagine the kind of anguish suffered again on Bechlal. So Tachtios and Bechlal, never to get out. It's unimaginable. It's just like, Rabbeinu said that once he was driving to a certain place, and it got very close to Shabbos. Everyone was so scared that he might not make it before Shabbos. And he said it was then that he understood what is the pachad, the fear, the panic, the dread the terror of people that are chayav Gehenna, let's go to Gehenna, as they're being led to Gehenna. You have a tzaddik that if you do what he does, he will pull you out from that. How much more so if you remember that while you're here, maybe, okay, on my own, I'm nothing, I'm worthless. Okay. Legitimate. But Baruch Hashem, have the schus of the tzaddik. The schus of the tzaddik is the most powerful schus there is in this world, and you can lean on it. You're supposed to lean on it. It's the koyach of the tzaddik is so immense that we have no way of actually comprehending how far it gets, how strong it is, how meaningful it is. Baruch Hashem, we have it. So, as Rabbi Yitzchak Bender, Zechat Tzaddik used to say, no, actually, I think it's there that he talks about. He says, the Avodas Hashem says, Hashem's boss says to Am Yisrael, I will deliver you, even if all your Ma'asim Tovim is like a pecking of a rooster. What is a pecking of a rooster? A rooster goes, in a garbage heap, and you go like, there's a kernel of wheat or whatever it is, 2 eyes on both sides of the head. There is a kernel of something, a crumb of bread or whatever. Because Baruch Hu says, even if your entire Avodas Hashem is like a pecking of a rooster, finds here a shtikul mitzvah, here a shtikul ishtekikos, here a shear, here a cheshek, here a not giving up, even though, like, when I get the report card, my eyes become, because choshech b'einayim, everything doesn't matter. Like a pecking of a rooster, another nekuda table, another ma'aseh. So Ben said to him, you don't have a clue what a Kodesh Baruch Hu wants from you. It seems to me like, Kodesh Baruch Hu is like, I'm supposed to do so much and I accomplish so little. How can you say that what I'm doing is any good? Because you don't know what a Kodesh Baruch Hu wants from you. It was a gewaldige story. That I read in, I think it was Hadash newspaper, whatever it is. A Maisa that a French Baal Tshuva in France. He made tshuva, and there was no, I don't know which town it was, and he decided that there was no mikveh in town. He decided he is going to build a mikveh, and he built a mikveh, and it was inside his wall. I don't remember exactly what it is. And he shut off, and there was a door, and it was a lock, whatever it is, and that was the only mikveh that was in town. And he and his wife, they had a son. And one day, that child, walked into the mikveh and fell into the mikveh and drowned. And the guy was like, well, you can imagine. Here he goes and he makes a mikveh with serious nefesh. And he has a child that they were like, it was such a lichtige child, and they were so connected to that child. And more than all the other children. And I said, we have a principle in the Gemara, that thing that Tzaddik has been working on. So it's not appropriate that will be the trap where he falls. Obviously, it was very broken. And he said that he had a dream. And in the dream, he saw an unbelievable looking person, an old person that was shining. And that person said to him, I'm your son. And he said, what do you mean you're my son? I mean, you are twice as old as I am. He said, yeah. He says, I'm one of Baal HaTosfos. And he said, I was killed on Kiddush Hashem. And once a person is killed on Kiddush Hashem, he can get to any place in Shemayim he wants. Go to any yeshiva, go to all the places, you get to any realm. He says, until he came to a certain realm, they told him, listen, you cannot come through this into this heichal, because even though you died in Kiddush Hashem, nevertheless, your body was not toveled in the mikveh before it was burnt. I mean, before it was buried. I mean, he died, with his clothes, whatever it is, and he was buried. But the body wasn't toveled in a mikveh before it was buried. But they say you cannot go into that particular masifta in the rakia, in the Shemaim, without being toveled. So Mishamayim, they gave him a choice, and he chose to be born to these parents. And Moshe Nefesh to build a mikveh. He had nothing to accomplish in this world, and nothing. As Baal HaTosfos that was killed by Kiddush Hashem, he doesn't need anything in this world, anything. The only thing that he needed was to be toivel before he's buried. That's it. That's the only thing he was missing. And he told his father, he says, you might think that, I'm just a dream, it's a dream, okay? Maybe you're looking to make yourself feel good, see a few, He says, no, I'll give you 2 simonim. I don't remember what these simonim were, but he told him, this is one simon and this is another simon, and nobody in the world could know about it. So go ahead and check it out. That person didn't know about it before. In the dream, he told him, go to a certain place, find something, you go to another place and find. You have 2 simonim that there's no way that anybody in the world could know. It cannot be your imagination, cannot be your fantasy. And he woke up and he remembered, and he went and he checked and he found it. You don't know what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants from you. I mean, look at it. Look at it. Whenever I try to do, I fail. I tried in the beginning, it was so great. I felt like this, and then I started being distant from my family, this and that, whatever it is that happened to me. And I just sort of like lost impetus. And that's it. I'm not koyach. Whenever it is that you go for the next step, the test will become harder because you are reaching for that higher place. Never forget that Tzvi Cheshen said an amazing thing. He said, don't be so scared of dinim. I think today's Sichos Haran is actually based on that. I said, don't be so scared of dinim. No, I can't. Don't be so scared of dinim. It's okay. Hashem was never ever going to give you something that you cannot withstand. Ever. Don't be scared. You have Rabbeinu Baruch Hashem with you. At Hashem, soon, Oman, Rosh Hashanah, Bezat Hashem should help us. We should be Zercha to get to Oman Rosh Hashanah. Tremendous Mesiras Nefesh that is needed to get there. Hashem Yazor. So I want to wish all of you, first of all, a gewaldige week, Bezat Hashem. And hopefully Monday, we'll get back to Sipur Maisis and go a little bit more into what actually happened next, as it were. And it's a delight. I see all you guys here, and it's like after this hiatus, it's a gewalt. Hopefully we can get it going strong again. So let's just stop the recording here.